Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to scrape the chart data or 1-minute bars for any options available in Yahoo Finance. You want to start off by going to Yahoo Finance and typing in a option symbol. Now the symbol is just simply the underline, the 2-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, whether you want to call or a put, and then the strike price in this format. Once you're in the landing page, you want to click on chart, and once that's available, you'll typically see the 1-day range for that option. Now this is the data that we're going to be pulling into RStudio. So once you're here, we're going to right click outside of the chart and we're going to hit inspect. We're going to go to network and we're going to go ahead and refresh the page. Once you see that the chart's loaded up, you can go ahead and pause the script. And if you're in Firefox, the way you do that is just click on this pause. You can also do this in Google Chrome, but I find it much easier in Firefox. Now, once you're here, we want to look for the query1.finance.yahoo.com domain. And if we click on any of these that have the option symbol, we can kind of glance over in the headers tab and see that our interval here is 1 minute. So essentially, we will be working with this domain. Now, in the previous video, I was able to get historical data for options on a daily basis, but a couple of things were missing in that script, including the CRUM value, which is specific to each user, and I'll show you how to get that automatically into RStudio. And another thing that we will need is in the request headers, we will need this cookie value, and I'll go over that once we get into the script, but everything we're going to need will be in this page. So if we go to our script, we're going to start off by loading in some packages. The way to automate getting the CRUM value is by simply using this function. I was able to retrieve from this link via the QuantMod GitHub. This will automate the process of getting the CRUM value instead of manually searching for it. If you visit this URL, you should have this function loaded up. And you want to scroll down to where it says Yahoo session, and we're going to copy everything down to line 69, and we're going to copy and paste that into RStudio. And the only thing or modification I did was to add this line 23, which seemed to be called but was not able to find it, so we're just going to go ahead and create this empty environment. And once you copy that, you can go ahead and run this block. No other changes are necessary. Now we're going to go ahead and build a function to get the options data imported into RStudio. So we have a couple of parameters here. The first will be the underlying symbol, the expiration date for the option in this format, the strike price, the option type, whether it's a call or a put, and we will use uppercase C for call, uppercase P for put, and the number of days to get options data. Now the maximum for 1 minute data is 7 days. If you insert anything further than that, you will get an error and no data will be retrieved. And keep in mind, those are calendar days, not business days. So in order to deal with the dates, we're going to go ahead and use the current date and assign that into current trading day. Now if you run this say on a Saturday or Sunday, we're going to have to search for the latest trading day. So we're going to use is business day from our quantlib to search for the previous business day or trading day. After that's assigned, we're going to subtract the number of days depending on the user. Now a cool feature that I added here was to retrieve data during the market session. Now this data is 15 minutes delayed, but it's relatively useful if you just want to keep track of the pricing during the day. And in order to get the current session, we're going to assign the current time, and it's going to do 2 checks. It's going to check whether or not the current time is between the market session. So is it after the open and before the close? If it meets that criteria along with the number of days being less than 7, we're going to use our current time as the current trading day. And I'll go over some examples of what's accessible. Once we have our date sorted out, we need to format the strike so that it looks like the ticker being used in Yahoo Finance. So we're going to round the strike price that the user passes in to 2 decimal places, multiply it by 100, and we need to add leading and trailing zeros. And depending on the length of the strike, it'll pass in the number of leading and trailing zeros and create a string for the Yahoo Finance strike. And we're going to pass that into this page 0 and create the string for the option symbol. Now we can go ahead and fetch the CRUM for our Yahoo session, so that'll get saved into line 116. Now we can go back to our network inspector and copy some values that will be needed for the rest of the code. So in line 118, we're going to copy the URL for the GET request. So in Firefox, we're going to scroll all the way to the top and we're going to copy this URL. So copy value. If you don't see it, it may be that you have this checked. So you'll see something like this. But if you click on the arrow, it should go back to the URL. So copy that value into RStudio and wrap it into this page 0, leaving out the symbols, the from and to date, and also the CRUM. So make sure it looks like this. Now for the GET request, we're going to pass in that URL. You want to add our headers. And for the headers, that can be easily copied from Firefox. So back in Firefox here, we're going to right click on copy value and copy request headers. Now in RStudio, you're going to want to add the headers and make sure they look like this, with the variable having these back parentheses, replacing the colons with equal signs, and everything after this equal sign will be a string. So double quotes or single quotes is fine. And that's going to be it for the data needed in Firefox. Once it runs this line, it'll be assigned to page, and we need to go ahead and extract the page contents. Now I added some features here as a check in case there's some sort of error. You'll get that error message printed out, and I'll show you some examples as well. Now for some reason the actual dates and data are separate, and we're going to build an XTS object if line 148 doesn't get an error. So we need to line up the dates with the data, and from time to time they'll insert a day which is not a business day, and that row will be a null. So we want to go ahead and drop those from our data. Next we're going to go ahead and build the XTS object by passing in the data or the bars along with our dates. We're going to round everything to 4 decimal places and replace the column names. We want to skip over any NAs, and we want to return data during market hours. Otherwise, if there's an error along the code, it'll return null. And once we have that built, we can go ahead and start requesting data. So we're going to run through these 4 options and show you some common mistakes or errors. So for option 1, we have NVIDIA. We have this expiration along with the strike 685.50, and that is an invalid strike, so it's not available in the option chain. So in that case, the code will print out this error, no data found, symbol may be delisted. So just make sure that if you get that error to check your parameters here. Same thing for option 2, I purposely misspelled the underlying symbol, and you'll also get the same error here. Third is if you request more than 7 days of data, and in that case it'll print out something similar to this, saying that the 1 minute data is not available for the date range that you specified. Only 7 days worth of 1 minute granularity are allowed to be fetched per request. And lastly, another common error that I found was if there's no actual volume during that specific date range that you request, you'll get this error in red. So just make sure that the data you're requesting for the option actually has some volume during the number of days that you request. Also, another thing to note is making sure that the expiration date is in the future. Now you can request data from what I've seen for expirations that pass, but those expirations, they must be no more than 7 days old. So just make sure that the option data you're requesting falls within those 7 days. Now we can go ahead and test some valid requests. So here we have options 1 through 4. We have correctly assigned our tickers. All of our expirations are in the future except for this first one, which is within 7 days. We have correctly assigned our strike prices, and we have checked that these option symbols have data for the number of days we are requesting. And I have also made sure that for some of these, the strike price differ in digits. So we have a 3-digit strike, 2-digit strike, and a 1-digit strike. Once you run this block, you'll hopefully see these options in your environment. And we're going to go ahead and plot the data. So in the final block, we're just going to chart options 1 through 4. So we start off with the option that has already expired, and we see that it was able to retrieve only 1 day or the final day for this option. Now for the second option, we were able to get data from 2:20 at the market open until about 2:21 at 11:26, which is about the time when I ran it. And again, the data will be delayed around 15 minutes. Same thing with this third option. And lastly, a thinly traded option, which only returned 4 data bars for the number of days we requested. Well, with that, guys, this concludes the video. I hope this was useful information. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find the script. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.